Top 10 Most Dangerous Prisons in the United States. There are places in America where violence is not an exception, it is part of daily life. Prisons where a wrong glance can lead to a stabbing. Facilities where entire housing units can erupt into chaos without warning. Institutions so feared that even hardened criminals pray they are never transferred there. Behind concrete walls and electrified fences, thousands of inmates wake each morning knowing that survival depends on understanding rules that were never written down. Tonight, we count down 10 of the most dangerous prisons in the United States. Some are known for gang wars. Others for riots, murders, and decades of controversy. And as we move through this list, the conditions become increasingly severe. Because by the time we reach number 1, we'll arrive at a prison many people consider the most feared correctional institution in America. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and comment where you're watching from. It's always fascinating to see how far these stories travel around the world. Now let's step behind the walls. Number 10, Holman Correctional Facility, Alabama. Located in Atmore, Alabama, Holman Correctional Facility has earned a reputation that stretches far beyond the state. Opened in 1969, Holman was designed to hold some of Alabama's most serious offenders. It is also home to the state's execution chamber. But the death row unit is only one part of the story. For years, overcrowding, understaffing, and violence have created conditions that correctional officers themselves have described as dangerous and unpredictable. A typical day inside Holman begins before sunrise. Inmates wake in crowded housing units where tensions often simmer beneath the surface. Many prisoners spend years navigating complicated social hierarchies controlled by gangs, prison crews, and influential inmates. Because staff shortages have been a recurring problem, prisoners often find themselves with more freedom of movement than administrators would prefer. That can create opportunities. Opportunities for contraband. Opportunities for assaults. And opportunities for inmates to settle disputes away from the eyes of correctional officers. Former prisoners have described learning survival lessons quickly. Avoid unnecessary arguments. Never interfere in someone else's conflict. And understand who controls each section of the prison. Those rules may sound simple. Ignoring them can be dangerous. Yet compared to what awaits later on this list, Holman is only the beginning. Number 9, United States Penitentiary, Beaumont, Texas. Federal prisons are often viewed as more controlled than state institutions. USP Beaumont challenges that assumption. Located in southeast Texas, this high-security federal prison houses some of the nation's most violent offenders. Over the years, the facility has been associated with numerous deadly incidents involving prison gangs. Inside Beaumont, power frequently revolves around affiliation. Race-based prison organizations, criminal networks, and established gang structures can influence nearly every aspect of inmate life. New arrivals quickly discover that neutrality is difficult. Who do you associate with? Where do you sit? Who can you trust? Those questions carry consequences. Many inmates describe prison politics as a survival mechanism. Failing to understand them can make someone vulnerable. Daily life follows a rigid schedule. Counts. Meals. Work assignments. Recreation periods. Yet beneath that routine lies a constant awareness that conflict can emerge at any moment. Correctional officers monitor movement closely, but prison gangs often operate through informal communication networks built over decades. And what happens when rival groups cross paths? The answer has sometimes been deadly. But one prison in California developed a system so infamous that it became the subject of national debate. That's where we're heading next. Number 8, Pelican Bay State Prison, California. Pelican Bay sits near California's northern border, far from major cities. Its remote location feels intentional. For years, Pelican Bay became synonymous with one phrase: solitary confinement. The prison's security housing unit, often called the SHU, gained international attention because some inmates spent years, or even decades, isolated in small concrete cells. Imagine a room roughly the size of a parking space. Minimal human contact. Little natural interaction. Days blending into weeks. Weeks blending into years. For many prisoners, the psychological challenge became as significant as the physical confinement itself. Officials argued that such measures were necessary to control dangerous gang leaders. Critics questioned the long-term effects. The debate reached courts, lawmakers, and human rights organizations. Meanwhile, life in the general population remained heavily influenced by gang structures. California's prison system developed some of the most sophisticated inmate organizations in the country. Influence often extended beyond individual prisons. Orders could travel across institutions. Conflicts could begin hundreds of miles away. And inmates understood that old rivalries rarely disappeared. Yet the prison coming next witnessed one of the deadliest prison uprisings in modern American history. Number 7, South Mississippi Correctional Institution. At first glance, South Mississippi Correctional Institution appears similar to many large prisons. Rows of housing units, security checkpoints, guard towers. But the facility has struggled with periods of severe violence and instability. Reports over the years have described assaults, gang activity, and staffing shortages. For inmates, uncertainty can become part of everyday existence. One former prisoner explained that danger wasn't always visible. Sometimes the most dangerous moments occurred during routine movement between housing units. Sometimes during recreation. Sometimes during meal service. The threat wasn't necessarily constant violence. It was unpredictability. Not knowing when violence might erupt. That uncertainty creates stress. And stress affects everyone inside the walls. Officers, inmates, medical staff, visitors. Yet despite these challenges, conditions here still do not compare to prisons that have become symbols of maximum security incarceration. And next, we arrive at one of the most famous. Number 6, San Quentin Rehabilitation Center, California. San Quentin is one of America's oldest prisons. Its history stretches back to the 1850s. Generations of inmates have passed through its gates. Some entered as unknown criminals. Others became nationally recognized names. For decades, San Quentin housed California's largest death row population. That alone contributed to its reputation. But the prison's danger often came from something else. Density. Thousands of inmates living within a relatively confined environment. When large populations combine with gangs, rivalries, and limited resources, tensions naturally emerge. Throughout its history, San Quentin has experienced riots, murders, and disturbances. Yet daily life often appears surprisingly routine. Morning counts, work assignments, educational programs, meal periods, recreation schedules. The contrast is striking. One moment feels orderly. The next can become chaotic. Veteran correctional officers often describe prison management as balancing stability against volatility. Most days remain calm. The challenge is preparing for the days that don't. And what lies ahead on this countdown involves prisons where that balance has repeatedly broken down. Number 5, USP Victorville, California. Deep in California's high desert sits USP Victorville. Among federal inmates, the prison's reputation is unmistakable. Violence here has become part of prison folklore. Stories circulate through federal institutions across the country. Some are exaggerated. Many are not. Victorville houses inmates from a wide range of criminal backgrounds. Gang members, career offenders, violent criminals. The environment can be unforgiving. New arrivals often spend their first days observing rather than speaking, watching, learning, trying to understand the social landscape. Because inside prisons like Victorville, information can be as valuable as protection. Who controls the housing unit? Which conflicts are active? Which areas should be avoided? Those answers matter. A mistake can have consequences far beyond a simple argument. Former inmates frequently describe the importance of respect. Not respect in the conventional sense. Respect as a survival strategy. An understanding of boundaries. A recognition of prison culture. Yet even Victorville is overshadowed by facilities that have witnessed some of the most shocking violence in American correctional history. And next, we enter one of them. Number 4, Louisiana State Penitentiary, Angola. Angola is enormous. So large that it resembles a small city surrounded by fences. Located on a former plantation, the prison covers thousands of acres and houses thousands of inmates. Many are serving lengthy sentences. Some will never leave. The scale alone creates unique challenges. Entire populations exist within the prison. Work crews, religious communities, educational programs, informal economies, social hierarchies. Angola has changed significantly over the decades. Yet its history remains one of the most controversial in American corrections. In earlier eras, violence was so common that many inmates expected to witness assaults regularly. Power often belonged to whoever could enforce it. Survival required adaptation. Learning when to speak. Learning when to remain silent. Understanding relationships. Recognizing danger before it became obvious. Many prisoners described prison life as a constant process of observation. The men who lasted longest were often not the strongest. They were the most aware. Number 3, Attica Correctional Facility, New York. Few prison names in American history carry the weight of Attica. Even people who know little about corrections have heard the name. For decades, Attica has represented one of the most significant and tragic chapters in the history of American prisons. Opened in 1931, the maximum security facility was built to house some of New York's most dangerous offenders. From the outside, Attica resembles a fortress. Massive walls. Guard towers positioned at strategic points. Layers of security designed to prevent escape. Yet the prison became famous not because of what happened outside its walls, but because of what happened within them. In September 1971, Attica became the center of one of the deadliest prison uprisings in American history. Thousands of inmates took control of portions of the facility. For several days, the prison remained in crisis. Negotiations took place. Demands were discussed. Tension filled every corner of the institution. Then came the retaking operation. When it was over, dozens of people were dead. The event shocked the nation. Even today, more than half a century later, Attica remains a symbol of what can happen when prison systems reach a breaking point. But Attica's story did not end in 1971. Life inside the prison continued. New generations of inmates arrived. New correctional officers took posts along the walls. The routines remained familiar. Early morning counts. Controlled movement. Meal schedules. Recreation periods. Yet the history never disappeared. Former inmates have described a prison culture shaped by memory. Everyone knows what happened there. Everyone understands the significance of the name. And that history influences how the institution is viewed even today. The prison houses individuals convicted of serious violent crimes. Many inmates are serving lengthy sentences. Some have little hope of release. That reality creates its own pressures. Because when a person believes they have little left to lose, prison administrators face a different challenge. How do you maintain order? How do you prevent conflicts from spreading? How do you manage thousands of individuals living under extreme restrictions? Those questions confront every maximum security prison. But at Attica, they carry additional weight because of what happened in the past. And while Attica remains one of America's most infamous prisons, the next institution was specifically designed to hold prisoners considered too dangerous for nearly every other prison in the country. A place where isolation became the primary security tool. A place many inmates call the end of the line. Number 2, ADX Florence, Colorado. Hidden in the Colorado desert stands a prison unlike any other in America. Officially known as the United States Penitentiary Administrative Maximum Facility. More commonly known as ADX Florence. If Attica became famous because of a historic uprising, ADX Florence became famous because it was built to ensure such events never happened. This is the federal government's most secure prison. Its mission is simple. Control inmates who are considered exceptionally dangerous, violent, or difficult to manage. The list of prisoners who have lived here is remarkable. Terrorists. Gang leaders. Organized crime figures. Mass murderers. Escape artists. Individuals whose names once dominated international headlines. Everything about ADX Florence revolves around security. The architecture itself serves that purpose. Cells are constructed primarily of reinforced concrete. Furniture is often built directly into the structure. Movement is tightly controlled. Doors operate electronically. Every aspect is designed to minimize risk. A typical day inside ADX Florence differs dramatically from life in most prisons. Many inmates spend approximately 23 hours each day inside their cells. Human interaction is extremely limited. Meals are delivered through secure slots. Exercise often occurs alone. Communication opportunities are tightly regulated. For some prisoners, isolation becomes the defining feature of incarceration. Imagine years passing in an environment where conversation is rare. Where physical contact is almost non-existent. Where routines become nearly identical day after day, month after month, year after year. Former inmates and attorneys have described the psychological effects of such conditions. Some prisoners adapt. Others struggle. Prison officials argue that these measures are necessary. The facility houses individuals who have demonstrated extreme violence or leadership within dangerous criminal organizations. The goal is prevention. Prevent assaults. Prevent escape attempts. Prevent communication that could facilitate criminal activity outside prison walls. Everything is calculated. Everything is controlled. Yet despite its fearsome reputation, ADX Florence is not ranked number 1 on this list. That may surprise some people. Because ADX is unquestionably one of the most secure prisons ever built. But danger does not always mean isolation. Danger can also mean unpredictability. Violence. Chaos. The possibility that ordinary prison routines can collapse in an instant. And no prison in modern America has become a stronger symbol of that reality than our final entry. Number 1, United States Penitentiary Lee, Virginia. When correctional officers, inmates, and prison experts discuss dangerous federal prisons, one name appears again and again. USP Lee. Located in the mountains of southwestern Virginia, the prison was designed as a high-security federal institution. On paper, it resembles many other federal prisons. Secure perimeter. Controlled movement. Structured schedules. Extensive surveillance. But reputation is rarely built on paper. It is built on experience. And USP Lee developed a reputation for violence that spread throughout the federal prison system. Gang activity has long played a significant role inside the institution. Like many high-security prisons, inmates often arrive carrying conflicts from previous facilities. Old disputes follow them. Rivalries continue. Alliances shift. The prison becomes a pressure chamber. One of the greatest challenges facing administrators is managing these competing groups. Housing assignments matter. Movement schedules matter. Even recreation periods require careful planning. Because placing the wrong people together can create serious consequences. Former inmates have described a prison environment where awareness is essential. The ability to read situations, recognize tension, understand prison politics. These skills can be as important as physical strength. A new prisoner entering USP Lee faces a steep learning curve. Who controls the housing unit? Which groups cooperate? Which groups are enemies? What conflicts are active? The answers are constantly changing. And that uncertainty contributes to the prison's reputation. Several deadly incidents over the years reinforced concerns about safety. Each event served as a reminder of how quickly prison environments can transform. One moment may appear routine. The next may become life-threatening. Correctional officers understand this reality better than anyone. Many describe prison work as remaining alert every second of every shift. Not because violence is constant, but because conditions can change without warning. The challenge is recognizing danger before it erupts. At facilities like USP Lee, that challenge never disappears. The prison has become known as a place where some of the federal system's toughest inmates are housed. A place where prison politics are complex. A place where mistakes can be costly. And for that reason, many experts consider it one of the most dangerous prisons operating in the United States today. Yet perhaps the most unsettling reality is this: every prison on this list was built for the same purpose. Control. Security. Order. And despite billions of dollars spent, thousands of staff members employed, and decades of experience, maintaining that order remains one of the most difficult tasks in modern society. The prisons on this list are very different from one another. Some became infamous because of riots. Others because of gang violence. Some because of isolation. Others because of overcrowding, understaffing, or decades of controversy. Yet they all reveal the same truth. A prison is more than walls and fences. It is a living environment shaped by thousands of people forced to coexist under extraordinary circumstances. Behind every locked door is a story. A correctional officer working a difficult shift. An inmate serving a sentence measured in decades. A family waiting for a phone call. A victim whose life was changed forever. The public often sees prisons as distant places, hidden behind concrete and razor wire. But what happens inside those institutions affects communities far beyond the perimeter fences. The challenges of violence, rehabilitation, security, mental health, and justice do not end at the prison gate. They continue long after sentences are served. And perhaps that is why these prisons remain so fascinating. Not simply because they are dangerous, but because they force us to confront difficult questions about crime, punishment, and what happens when society locks away its most dangerous individuals. As darkness falls across these compounds and evening counts begin, thousands of inmates return to their cells. Steel doors close. Corridors fall silent. Guard towers remain watchful. And behind those walls, another night begins. A night governed by rules most people will never see. A world hidden from public view. A world where survival itself can become the most important sentence of all. As always, thank you for watching. Stories like these remind us that prison is about far more than locked doors and concrete walls. Behind every cell is a complex reality shaped by violence, survival, justice, and human choices. If you found this documentary informative, leave a comment with your thoughts and let us know which prison shocked you the most. Your support helps us continue bringing you deeply researched crime and prison documentaries from around the world. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and thank you for joining us behind the walls. Good night.